This is Stephen Nojiri, and this is another video of the Tada Genji Jingunden series. This video's purpose is going to introduce you to fundamental aspects of the system. Essentially, there are three key aspects to the Tada Genji Jingunden. Now, these three can be broken down into several other, we could say there's three, we could say there's five, seven. But to keep things streamlined and to keep things clear, we're going to go with the explanation of three key aspects. The three key aspects for this system is, first, the teaching of the three stars. Now, for those who have watched the other videos in this series, this is where the Oboshiden appears within the system. So Jingunden is the entire system, and within Jingunden there is the Oboshiden. And the Oboshiden is part of the teaching of the three stars. The second key aspect is Genji Mitsunaka's addendums. And not just Mitsunaka, but also his lineage, his heirs, his sons, grandsons, etc., etc. The third key aspect is material that would have been added through the ages, from the 1300s to the 1600s, to the Yoshino Jidai, Sengoku Jidai, etc., etc., etc. So, again, the teaching of the three stars, Genji Mitsunaka's addendums, and material added. Now, the thing that I want to point out here is that the teaching of the three stars is pretty much locked in for the various Jingunden systems, such as Shotoku Jingunden or the Tachibana Jingunden. In other words, the system that is based off of Prince Shotoku, and then the system that goes through the Tachibana, the Tachibana clan, the House of Tachibana, the Bushi family, Tachibana. They have the teachings of the three stars. So, but since we're focusing on the Tada Genji version of this, the Tada Genji Jingunden, so it is the three stars, Mitsunaka's addendums and his heirs' addendums, and material through the over the centuries. So, in looking at the tradition of the three stars, this is where the Oboshiden comes from. Now, remember, Oboshiden means the tradition of the great star, but this aspect it's called Oboshiden, but it actually has three stars. And if you're looking at the screen, you can see. So, number one, the great star, which is the sun, which refers to the imperial line. And this contains esoteric Buddhism and esoteric Shinto. It contains spiritual ceremonies, magic, divination, and it contains philosophy. The next part is the medium star. So you see, even though the tradition is called Oboshiden, the tradition of the great star, it has a great star, a medium star, and a small star. So the medium star is the moon and refers to the general, or the samurai commander, the Bushi commander. Now, this comprises also of divination, advanced tactics and logistics, geology, astronomy, weather. So in this particular sense, the divination aspect of the medium star is considered sort of like the secret category of the medium star. And the divination in the great star is considered the lowest aspect of the great star. So the divination is where the great star and the medium star overlap. And you will see that the medium star and the small star also have an area where they overlap. So it's not like the great star, medium star, and small star are completely isolated from each other. They have their own unique aspects, their own unique teachings, but they have places where one star transitions into the next star. So the medium star transitions into great star via the teachings of divination. The third one is the small star, which refers to the Big Dipper, and this refers to the Bushi, the warrior who serves the emperor. Things such as weapons, armor, tools, things like that, etc., etc. Tactics, combat, horse riding, fortifications, advanced tactics such as espionage and psychology. So the small star overlaps with the medium star at that area of advanced tactics and logistics. So basically, the small star would begin sort of with weapons, armor, tools, and then that gets into tactics, fortifications, horse riding, horse techniques, um, battle formations, etc., etc., and then advanced tactics. And then advanced tactics is where it transitions into the medium star, which is advanced tactics, logistics, geology, astronomy, weather, etc., into and then divination, and then divination is where the medium star transitions into the great star, which divination leads into spiritual ceremonies, magic, philosophy, esoteric Buddhism, and esoteric Shinto. So that's the Oboshiden, or the three stars. Next, we're going to look at Genji Mitsunaka and his descendants. So Genji Mitsunaka has himself, his own life, his own the tactics and teachings that he learned, the tactics and teachings that he then developed, and then the battles and engagements that he won. So, for example, within this section, there's this Genji Mitsunaka himself. There's, again, like I said, three teachings that were passed down to him. These would be older Genji teachings. So these would be older Jingunden teachings, older Genji teachings that come to him. And then he himself has his own life experiences and develops his own tactics and has his own sort of biography and history, etc., etc. So that's one part. Then his son, specifically, Genji Mitsunaka's son, Genji Yorimitsu. Now he has multiple sons, but specifically, we're looking at Genji Yorimitsu, the material that he would have inherited and learned from his father, and then the tactics and teachings that he developed, and his battles, his victories, etc., etc., etc. So it's basically the life of Mitsunaka, the life of Yorimitsu, everything that they learned, everything that they developed, their own biographies, histories. Then, after Yorimitsu, it becomes developments and biographies by members of that line, the Tada Genji line, which is also known, which the Setsu Genji line, specifically Tada Genji, well, I'll make a video later explaining the subtle difference between saying, when you say Setsu Genji and Tada Genji, there's a subtle difference. So specifically with Tada Genji, we're specifically looking at the line of Genji Yorimitsu, a specific line of Genji Yorimitsu, the Tada Genji line. So that would be the third section. And then lastly, the third sort of section, material through the centuries, specifically the Yoshino Jidai and the Sengoku Jidai. We have the Non-Bokucho period. We have the Go Yoshino period, or the Go Nancho court. So basically we have the period of the North versus the South, and then we have the second North versus South period through the 1400s, with the Ashikaga shogunate fighting the southern, or I should say the Southern court loyalist fighting against the Ashikaga shogunate. This sort of leading into the Onin War, and then the Onin War opens the floodgates for the Sengoku period, and there, of course, various campaigns and wars. But because this is Tada Genji, the focus is on specifically Takeda Shingen, but more than Takeda Shingen, specifically, there is an emphasis on Oda Nobunaga, because the vast majority of the Tada Genji members who are part of this sort of heritage served under Nobunaga. So Nobunaga is brought up a lot in the documents that are written in the later 1500s and in the 1600s. Have a great emphasis on Nobunaga. Takeda Shingen is mentioned because there is a branch of the Tada Genji line under Takeda Shingen. So Takeda Shingen and those Tada Genji descendants are in the material. They have a place, but Nobunaga's retainers, who are Tada Genji, have a large place.